The other day, I was having this conversation with my partner that I realized that when I am going through something very difficult, and I don't necessarily mean one thing's happening, but I mean if I think about my month of July, there are multiple people around me who suffered health issues. Some of them are still ongoing, and some of them were very close to me because one person was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, the same chronic disease I have. And at the same time, I've been navigating starting a new job. I'm in month 4 and it's going super well, but at least in my opinion. But what has happened is everything that has happened with people around me not doing well has truly made me have what I called a smaller threshold for emotions. And when I think about my emotional space, it's definitely gotten smaller. And I use the metaphor to say that when that happens, I usually don't realize this right away because I realize this like a month and a half after. But at some point, I will realize that the way I handle this is I will shut down some of my emotions, if that makes sense. So if you think about a rocket, I will shut down some of the thrusters. And a lot of the times, the first thrusters I shut down are related to, my partner, like our relationships, the emotions in there. And I will kind of just disconnect. And I will also disconnect from like friends. I will disconnect from family. So if I have a family member who's not doing well, I will, when I have conversations with them, I'll be able to help them, etc. But I'll, without really noticing, put up some type of wall that makes it such that their sadness, their grief, whatever is happening to them is not actually registering with me. It's not really registering, but it's not, I don't feel it inside of me, let's say. And so I think if you're listening to this video, you can see the pattern as well as me. Is usually I will shut down the emotional thrusters that are related to my to my relationships. And I think that's not really a coincidence, right? Because I already have a hard time handling my own emotions, and so I don't feel like I have the space to handle other people's emotions. But what's tough about this is that, contrary to my own emotions, like on a day-to-day basis, where I like to think that I'm quite aware of those emotions. I like to think that I can handle them quite well. When I sort of shut down those thrusters, I don't really realize it. I start thinking that maybe I just need to like step away from people. Well, this is actually a common thing, right? I would love to be on my own in those moments because I feel like the emotions of others just feel like too much for me. And I think what's dangerous about this is that it usually takes me a while to recognize that this is happening. It usually takes me a while to get out of it. I usually feel like I'm fine and that I'm handling things well because I am shutting down part of those, emotions and leaving space for others. And another thing that I do to cope is I actually jump into projects like YouTube, for instance, which I absolutely adore creating content. I've been creating content not on YouTube but on Instagram and Facebook for over a year, I would say, and I really enjoyed it there. I love the community, and I switched to YouTube recently because it felt more it felt like a better option for my current life and the time I have to dedicate to this medium. But so this is what I do, right? I'll shut down emotionally and then I'll try to be as busy as possible and not have time to rest. That has, like I said, one big issue though, is that I usually don't realize it right away, and so it negatively impacts, my life around me, how I feel in my relationships. And the second thing is it also prevents me for seeking the help I need and asking for support, because due to the fact that some of the thrusters are shut down, I feel like I have a good handle on the situation. I feel like I'm not impacted by it, and so I don't actually reach out, ask for help, and say that I'm not doing well. I'm like, I'm doing well because this is what it feels like. So it's this very weird process, and I haven't really found a solution for it. I think a few things that have helped is just creating more space. So creating more space means resting a little bit. Creating more space means having spaces that are neutral, like therapy, to talk through it. Creating more space means finding new nervous system regulation, nervous system regulation techniques. Going in nature is very regulating for me. Resting, and finding a way to create more space. And I think to create more space, you need to be able to bring down what is making you feel, so emotionally full, I'd say. And that means there's no way around it. That means having to go through your emotions and actually handling it. So that means becoming aware that's not something's wrong, and to become aware of it, you need space. Like, if you're like me and when really things are too much, you just want to disconnect, you will go through work to one thing like YouTube creation to watching videos, and your brain won't actually have much space to process things because it's just uncomfortable, right? And it's also very uncomfortable with sitting with not knowing. I think this is one of the most uncomfortable thing. When you have to sit with not knowing, you feel like something's not great, but you wouldn't be able to say what it is. It's hard as well. But there's no way around it, right? There's like, you can build the space, but at some point you have to face those emotions and you have to become aware of them and you have to feel them, accept that they suck right now, accept that you feel bad, and surrendering to that and to that process over and over again. And finding joy in things. Like, it doesn't have to be all bleak, right? It's not necessarily being busy, keeping yourself busy so your brain doesn't think, but it's also just finding joy and doing activities that you enjoy. And finding joy in the day-to-day, I think, is super important. But I'm kind of... Okay, there's mosquitoes. I thought I would just say I was trying to go outside because the heat wave has finally receded and so the weather is nice outside, but I think I forgot about the mosquitoes, right? But I think there's no... Like I was saying, there's no real way around it. And even for someone who's an expert at emotions and who's worked with them and taught them, I still find myself caught off guard sometimes that emotions are so complex, and it's just connecting to them or connecting to yourself is something that is ongoing and continuous in your life. It's not something you do once and then, you felt all the emotions, you don't need to do it anymore. So this is kind of where I am with that. I don't think there's much to add. I know I've talked about videos so much, but I really wanted to talk about this and share about this vulnerably because I feel like it is very hard, especially from people who have gone through burnout or depression, to realize that sometimes we shut parts of we shut ourselves away from part of our life to avoid feeling. I always tell myself, this is also something that makes me always feel better about this, is your brain is smart, right? If it is doing this, it's to protect you. It's because it thinks this is the best course of action for you. So I always try to remember, instead of like feeling mad and sad and berating my brain, let's say, I always try to remember that my brain is always trying to protect me, and this is one of the protection mechanisms. So acceptance, surrendering, we've talked about it, we'll talk about it more. I think it's one of the greatest tool and hardest to implement, to actually just accept and be in the moment and accept that life's not always perfect, life is not always happy. Life comes with joys and sufferings. But I think acceptance and seeking help and sharing as well our experiences, I think, is very important. Sharing our vulnerabilities so we feel like we're not alone doing this here is one way of doing it, but also with people around me in my life, with my partner, with my friends, with my family, and asking for help, even when it's hard to do it, is so key. So I hope if you're going through something similar, this video has sparked something in you, it's helped you. or it has at least made you feel like you're normal and made you feel a little bit less guilty about what you're feeling, because remember, what you're feeling, your emotions are a message. They're not inherently bad or good, they just are. And so are you. So yeah, I hope this was useful, and I will see you tomorrow, because I post every day on this channel. I feel like I have, this is one of the words I have the hardest time pronouncing, where I keep saying it twice on most of my videos. So I will post tomorrow, and I'll see you there. Let me know in the comments if this was useful. Subscribe if you want to hear more, and I'll see you soon. Bye!